many types of different members, and not all limited to construction. Very broad. So now about House of Design in specific.
Yeah. And talking about front runners, House of Design was established in 1996 already by Eileen Blackmore. And by the projects that House of Design does, we try to initiate projects that make system changes. It's a social design lab, and we make sustainability tangible and visible by designed objects and by participatory action research. So it took a long time to establish participations in which those projects are done, like, for example, Wat van Waarde. It now is scaling up the use of flags and make sure that we don't have any plastic pollution in the Waddenzee region any longer. But it took a real long time to do those things. House of Design, we work in the north of Netherlands and in Europe. And we focus not on human-centered design, but we focus on the planet first, planet-centered design, and then for human use. So that's our core focus in the projects that we do. I told you, Eileen Blackmore, you see the nice lady right in the corner. That's Eileen Blackmore. And the role of design is going from a product to a system. We want to make system changes, not only nice products. So we ask within every project, what is the impact of the products that we make to nature, to society, and to social economy? And with all the partners within the projects that we do, these are the questions that we ask ourselves, and by lowering the influence both on nature and make society becoming more beneficent of the business that we do, we try to change the activities of all the partners within the system that needs to be established if we want to work in a circular manner. For this, we use the local value chain model, and BBoBB is also based on the local value chain model from House of Design. And the aim is to create a system challenge, including all the stakeholders within the business. We start with a social task. That's the center of a project. And we use design to make the answer to social tasks appealing, smart, corpse to corpse, without any partners in between that takes out money from the chain. And we want to make it valuable. Looking to the material, it's very important to use local renewable resources or waste materials within a circular way of working. The production includes local SMEs to the system, so not the big companies from far away, but we work together with local SMEs. We need for other ways of working, because circular system requires more than just tying up the loose ends of linear thinking. So we all need to change the ways in which we are think and act. And for example, we need smart hands and heads that can work with the new materials that are developed within the projects. Research needs to be done on circularity, life cycle analysis, soil valorization, for example. We need to prepare the market because they're not used to the products. For example, the price, it's a bit higher, but if you see what brings it to the local economy, is that a problem or not? And the market needs to dare to use the products that we develop within the projects. We just said there are some challenges need to be taken on policies, for example. So we need to train and a government in their new role for tendering, for example, and designing the new materials. We already need to think about what's happening at the end of use, how to close the loop, and who owns the material, for example. So all those steps within the chain, making things work in a circular manner, needs to be changing at the same moment. So that's why it takes a lot of time and energy, but also simultaneously development of all the partners within the chain to start working circular.
Thank you. So just to give you, there are various routes to achieving a circular economy, and well, what Annemieke just told you about is mostly really that big approach that really helps you to maintain and develop those circular business models within the regional context. Really developing a value chain for local economy and for its effects here in the region as well. Also thinking about looking at circular development, bio-based chain development, etc. We often use also this 7 pillars of the circular economy just to quickly think about, okay, if this is our design principle, how do we approach such a development? Because usually when you're talking about circularity, for example, or bio-based, you're really focused on materials and resources. It's very narrow vision if you're talking about it just in that way, because we believe that a broader approach is very necessary to really appreciate the types of things that you're working on. I think what Annemieke just sketched in the value chain model is really that's centering that societal task really gives a more broad view on that as well. A quick example of this would be if you're really looking at a circular economy and you're focused solely on materials, you need to construct everything in the world from steel because you can melt it. And you can just reuse the molten steel. But when you look at the sustainable energy component as well, you're really noticing how much energy it takes to recycle steel. When you're looking at the impacts that steel recycling has on the environment, pollution of dangerous chemicals, etc., on the environment, the effects it has on biodiversity, impact on water, etc., the health of people within a region working or living close to a factory, for example. Those are all factors that you need to take into account when you're looking at a circular development. And then you'll notice that recycling everything is just not a solution towards a circular economy, but biomaterials just might be. And that's why we're really working on the circular value chain development in the bio-based economy, looking at it in a circular fashion so that we don't just look at how can we grow stuff and put that in buildings, but really think about how can we reuse that later on? How can the production of these materials really impact a local economy, help people grow, help businesses grow, help the economy grow in a way that is healthy for people as well. So within BoBB, we're focused on construction and interior design. Those are very impactful sectors because we believe that construction, for example, can be shifted from a major source of pollution to a solution within the circular economy. So construction right now is basically pollution. It uses up 50% of the resources that we use in the economy, 40% of total energy use. I don't need to list all these out for these numbers to be quite shocking because it's really big. It's almost half of the CO2 emissions, 30% of water use, and water use is only going to become more urgent in the coming years because we're really realizing now how much water we're wasting and how little water we'll be having in a bit. So thinking about these numbers, you realize that the way that we are constructing right now is not sustainable and will not last. So we need to think about different ways to construct buildings, to work in construction in a circular and regional economy. So for that approach within BoBB, we use this value chain development model that Annemieke has already explained about. And just to show how that would work in a agro-based environment, you really see this little graph here. On the left, it starts the top one with soil selection. It's basically just what type of land are you going to use? And then you can follow all these steps from soil selection all the way up to harvesting and really seeing what types of steps in the process are necessary to get a crop from the ground in a way that serves the soil as well as eventually serves the industry. And that's the second block of the graph. In which from harvest it needs to be transported, stored, dried, etc., manufactured into some kind of material that can be applied within the last block in the construction sector. We focus on 4 crops. You see that on the left downside corner. Hemp fiber, Miscanthus, wet crops such as Lisdel the cattail, which has been approached in the previous webinar, and also flax, very beautiful crop as well. These types of crops, you can follow these in these steps. And just to give you some tangible example of this, we'll be showing you a quick video right now on how that happened for Miscanthus, crop we're discussing right now.
Als gemeente werken we aan een samenleving zonder afval. Dat doen we op heel veel verschillende manieren. Wij kopen onze materialen als gemeente zoveel mogelijk circulair in. En we werken aan duurzame bouwprojecten. En op deze plek hebben we ervoor gekozen om grond beschikbaar te stellen om Miscanthus te gaan verbouwen. Dus een lokale biobased bouwgrondstof die misschien ook kan worden toegepast in de lokale bouwprojecten hier vlakbij.
Ik ben aan het teelt van Miscanthus begonnen om een grondstof te leveren voor biobased bouwmaterialen. En we kunnen denken aan spulstof voor beton, linnen voor asfalt en als isolatiemateriaal in houtskeletbouw, wanden voor woningen. Over 2 jaar staat hier een prachtig gewas wat we kunnen oogsten in Middelzee voor de woningen in Middelzee.
Vanuit de Vereniging Circulair Friesland zetten we binnen het programma Friesland bouwt circulair in op ketenontwikkeling. En bij een goede ketenontwikkeling heb je partijen nodig die durven samen te werken en die durven te innoveren. En bij Miscanthus komt dat heel mooi bij elkaar. Miscanthus is een gewas waar je veel kanten mee op kunt. En doordat de gemeente Leeuwarden nu 8 hectare beschikbaar stelt op het grondgoed, groeit hier het product van de grond af die straks in de ketenontwikkeling toegepast moet worden.
So, just to give you a quick example. Back to Annemieke.
Yeah, Miscanthus then. Before we continue with the applications of Miscanthus, we saw some of the questions, what can you use it for? Here are some facts about the crop. Miscanthus is a perennial C4 plant and that can grow up to 4 meters tall. C4 plant means that it not only uses photosynthesis, but it binds to 4 carbon atoms before the photosynthesis takes place, and that's why it grows so fast.